trying to bust my friend out of jail. It worked for a minute. This is a story of an escape from custody that actually succeeded for about a minute. It happened many years ago. I won't disclose certain details and I'll use fake names, but this is the most epic fail I've ever been part of, and it's entirely on me. Back then, I was serving in the US Army. One night, my friends and I discovered the cocktail Jaeger bomb. We ordered them one after another, and before we knew it, the night had flown by. My buddy Brian offered to drive me and my roommate back to our off-base apartment, but we didn't get far. A car with three 21-year-old guys leaving a bar at 2 a.m. next to a military base. Obviously, that drew police attention. We got pulled over, and as soon as the officer walked up to Brian's window, it was clear we were drunk. We confessed to everything. Brian blew into a breathalyzer. He was way over the limit. They cuffed him and put him in the back of the patrol car. Then the officer turned to me and my roommate and explained that if one of us blew and the tester showed a number below the legal limit, we could drive Brian's car home and he'd avoid the tow truck and the impound lot. We both tried, we both failed, and then it got weird. For some reason, the officer left us with Brian's car and keys, then drove off with Brian to book him at the local jail. I still don't understand why he did that. About 20 minutes later, my roommate and I came up with what seemed to us like a brilliant idea. Small aside, all this happened years ago, when DUI penalties were just starting to become as strict as they are now. We were young, reckless, and unbelievably dumb. I do not condone drunk driving, and I'm grateful to the universe that no one was hurt. Back to the bad ideas. My roommate and I both served in the military police. Guilt aided us for letting Brian get behind the wheel, and now he was in trouble. And so, with zero common sense, we decided to drive Brian's car to our apartment ourselves. It wasn't far, but that in no way excuses our stupidity. And then, somewhere between leaving the bar and getting home, we came up with the ultimate plan. We were going to get Brian out of the detention center. A grand plan. Here's how it was supposed to go, step by step. Get Brian's car back to our place. Brush our teeth, pop some gum. Shave and change into our MP uniforms, put on duty belts, not to look like we were on duty. Call my unit's dispatch and ask them not to contact the jail where Brian was taken. Every night command checked local jails for detained service members. Luckily, I knew the dispatcher on duty, and he owed me big.
He agreed, without asking questions, to call the jail directly, pretending to be our command.
I asked if they had any detained service members. They confirmed Brian was there. Then I asked if we could take him into our custody. They said, yes. Swap vehicles. Leave Brian's car at the house. Take one of ours, pump ourselves up one last time, and then head out. We pulled up to the jail around 4 a.m. The parking lot was empty. We pressed the button at the entrance, explained we were there to take Brian under our responsibility, and heard, okay. After 25 of the longest minutes of my life, a loud buzzer went off. A heavy steel door slid open, and in the doorway stood 2 corrections officers and Brian in handcuffs. The look on his face was priceless, jaw dropped, white as a sheet. I said I'd put my cuffs on him so they could take theirs back. I even gave him a quick pat-down before swapping cuffs, and just like that, Brian was in my custody. We thanked the staff, escorted him outside, and walked across the lot to the car while our hearts were pounding out of our chests. At that moment, my roommate whispers, "Don't get in the car, don't get in." I turn around, and there stands the very same officer who pulled us over. He looks us dead in the eyes and asks, "By any chance, are you the 2 passengers from the car I stopped tonight?" Busted. Our luck ran out. When we arrived, the lot was empty. But while we were waiting inside, that officer had pulled in and was sitting in his patrol car doing paperwork. He watched us casually walk Brian out of the jail. You can guess the rest. They hauled all of us to the slammer. By 8 a.m., our command showed up for us. Back on base, they told me to go home, pack my things, and be ready. This wouldn't end well. The next day, I came back and didn't leave the base for another 45 days until we got deployed again. Consequences. I got hammered under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I disappointed a lot of people and wore that shame for a long time. But at the same time, I became infamous. Word spread instantly. Everyone knew about the failed breakout. And like it or not, it made us local stars. People said we showed loyalty. You couldn't help but admire the audacity, even if the execution was insane. Fortunately, it didn't kill my career. I honorably finished out my contract and never pulled a stunt like that again. Looking back, I realize it was a crazy, reckless, absurdly stupid move. But it's one of those stories that reminds me of the brotherhood we had. We tried to bust a friend out of jail, and for one brief, glorious moment, we succeeded. Sex with Dad's couch. It happened last Saturday. According to the court, Saturday and Sunday are my days off with Dad. Saturday is also Dad's day off. He works in steel delivery. But it all started when Dad was called into work for a few hours because another employee was sick and he had to cover. I started thinking about what to do while I was home alone, and then my eyes fell on a 700 leather couch. I came up with a plan. I needed dish soap, the couch itself, and a few rags. I started with the dish soap. I applied it to a crease in the leather couch, then placed rags under the problem area to prevent water leakage. Thus began my adventure with the couch. Honestly, for a virgin like me, it was an amazing experience, and there was no turning back. One more detail. My dad got called into work, and I started working about 2-3 hours after he left. He usually finishes at 3:30 p.m. and gets home by 4 a.m., but not this time. He left at 9:30 a.m., and I started working around noon, thinking I had 3-4 hours before he got back. And then it happened. For reference, the couch is about 10 feet from the front door, so it's clearly visible. I heard the key turn in the lock and my heart sank. The door opened, and there I was, stark naked, in the middle of everything, next to his expensive, luxurious couch. He gave me a look that could have killed 20 people and asked coldly, "What the hell are you doing?" I had no idea what to do, so I just got dressed and started wiping everything up with rags I'd stuffed into the couch, quietly muttering, "Sorry, sorry, sorry, sorry." He stepped back, but before closing the door, he said, "Don't wipe anything up. I'll throw it away." The rest of the day passed in utter awkwardness. The sofa was behind us, and we sat on chairs at the table, watching TV and not saying a word to each other. Sending hardcore furry erotica instead of my final paper. I'm a senior in information technology at a pretty prestigious university, and I'm supposed to graduate this semester. One of my classes is Contemporary Advances in Trends in Technology. The course wasn't especially hard, but still serious enough. It required a decent amount of work. For the final assignment, the professor told us to write a 20-page paper on any current or promising technology of our choice. I wrote about energy generation based on helium-3. I killed myself over this text. It turned out great, and I was really proud of it. The submission deadline was by midnight last night, and I pushed it to the end to make the paper perfect. That's where I messed up, a little about me. I don't have a regular job. I tried freshman year, but realized it wasn't for me. When I had the chance, I did internships, but overall I didn't work, and I still had to live. So for the last 3 years, I've made money on commission. I write explicit furry erotica, anything and everything, any fetishes, any plots. In some circles in that scene, I even got fairly well known. At one point on Patreon, I was making almost $2,500 plus client payments. Am I proud of that? No. I wrote some pretty hardcore stuff, but the money was too good to pass up. I promised myself that as soon as I found a normal job, I'd quit. Fast forward to last night. The last few days were hell, tons of projects. I hadn't slept, was running on coffee and energy drinks, stumbling around like a zombie, and dreaming only of one thing, to collapse and pass out. Before bed, I did a final proofread and uploaded the file, but instead of the paper, I somehow attached one of my commissions, and not a light one either, almost 10 pages with everything in it. Then I went to sleep and the system closed submissions. My academic career looked dead and buried. In the morning, I was checking grades for other classes and saw an email from the professor. One line, "See me after today's class." I wanted to sink through the floor. I had no idea how to explain why. Instead of my capstone paper, I sent a hardcore erotic story about a werewolf jerking off in a dragon's stomach. Yeah, I was in deep trouble. Update. I just left the professor's office, and I still want to crawl under a rock, but not as much. I followed your advice, printed my real paper, and brought it with me. Honestly, when I sat down across from him, I was on the verge of tears from shame and stress. I think he noticed because he was extremely kind and asked me to calm down and just explain what happened. I told him almost everything I wrote here, though my way of making money clearly isn't his thing. He understood why I do it. He was grading last night after the deadline, and the file name immediately caught his eye. Something like Customer Commission Second Draft.doc. I'd taken his class before and had been a top student, so he assumed I'd uploaded the wrong file by mistake. He said he read the first page and realized it probably wasn't for him. I handed him a printed copy of my real work and he accepted it. He told me to email him the file. He'd replace the one I submitted and we'd pretend nothing happened. He's got a great sense of humor, by the way. He noted that the piece I sent him originally was at least well written from what he managed to read. Like I said, I still want to disappear, but at least he understood I'm just an idiot, not a bad person. Thanks for the advice and support. You helped me survive this nervous breakdown. Going way too hard at it and ending up needing surgery. Classic, and it didn't happen today, but when I was in 8th grade. 8th grade was about when I first learned what fapping was, and I got into it fast. I think I did it almost every day after school, and honestly, I was getting better and better. But on one particular day, I decided to see how fast I could finish. After school, I shot off the bus, ran straight to the bathroom, and grabbed a stopwatch. Counted down 3, 2, 1, and then went full speed. Let's just say I was way too rough with my little guy. After beating my personal record, I felt a weird tension down below, totally unlike what I'd felt before when I fired. I figured I'd just overheated the poor dude and needed to give him a rest, so I lay down on my bed. But the tension didn't go away, so I couldn't fall asleep. It started creeping upward, turned into abdominal pain, then nausea, and then a constant burning, cramping pain in my lower abdomen. I was groaning from the pain and trying not to cry when my parents walked into my room and asked what was wrong. I said my stomach hurt really bad, leaving out the part about the boys aching too. My dad, being a classic Mexican dad, just said, "Drink some 7-Up, take a couple TS antacids, you'll be fine." No surprise, that didn't help. 10 minutes later, my mom, seeing me pacing and writhing, said, "That's it. I can't watch this anymore. We're going to the hospital." Oh God, it was the worst 30-minute drive of my life. Every bump sent sharp pain through my whole body. I thought I was going to pass out. At that point, it was the worst pain I'd ever felt. We finally got to the hospital and saw a doctor. I told him I had sharp abdominal pain that wouldn't go away, but I didn't mention that my privates hurt too. As an 8th grader, I was too embarrassed and didn't want anyone looking at my junk. The doctor ordered every stomach test imaginable. And of course, nothing showed up. 2 or 3 hours passed, and then I finally threw up my hands, gathered my courage, and whispered to my mom, "Hey Mom, my balls hurt too." She immediately yelled, "Why didn't you say so right away?" and called a nurse to take a look. The nurse comes in and says it might be testicular torsion, puts on gloves, tells me to hold on tight, and starts working my boys. For those who don't know, torsion is when one of the testicles literally twists in the scrotum and ends up flipped. So this woman was trying to untwist it manually. I screamed in pain. Honestly, I'd never hit a woman in my life, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't raise my hand in that moment to clock that witch. Ha ha. Remember how I said the ride to the hospital came with the worst pain of my life? Well, this was a new, even worse level. In the end, my right ball won the battle, and they prepped me for surgery to untwist it. The operation was quick, and afterward, the severe pain was gone. The surgeons opened the scrotum, rotated the testicle back, and fixed it in place so it wouldn't twist again. I had to wear a jock with a big gauze pack for 3 days. After that, I went back to normal life. Basically, since the right one decided to hang a left somewhere in Albuquerque, the vessels feeding it twisted. Blood flow stopped. As a result, the right one shrank a lot. Let's just say the left now towers over that little guy like a skyscraper. Could have been worse, though. The doctor said, 30 more minutes and you would have lost it. Me, being a dumbass, told my friends about the shrinking, and that turned into new nicknames for my twins. Rob and Big, Dr. Evil and Mini-Me, Pinky and the Brain, those are my favorites. The lesson here, some things are better done slower. Hiding in my girlfriend's room while her parents were home. As the title says, I am currently in deep crap, sitting in my girlfriend's room. You probably think she's here with me and we're both scared of getting caught, but no. She's actually not here, she's at school. We live about an hour apart, and since she's still studying, it's not that easy for us to meet up. She lives with her parents. She's Asian and they have a strict rule, no boys until college, though her mom seems kind of chill about it. On Wednesday, we came up with a plan. I'd stay over at her place without her parents noticing. Simple. I show up while her parents are at work. They own a restaurant. And in the morning, I leave when her dad drives her to school, because at that time her mom is still asleep. And it went great. I slipped out, even sprinted to the car, though I didn't need to. By the time her dad was coming back, I was already driving out of the neighborhood. The next night I came back again. Thursday was calm. I fell asleep in her room and only woke up when she got home. Now it's Friday morning. Her dad almost caught us. He wanted to take the trash out, but she grabbed it quickly herself. Then she left for school, and I locked myself in her room and lay down on the bed, where I was supposed to spend the next 7 hours until she returned. But then her dad came back home, walked upstairs, tried to open the door. Crap, it's locked. He froze. Turned on the light, apparently glanced into her brother's room, then tugged the handle again. Locked for reasons he has no idea about. He muttered something under his breath. In Chinese, I didn't understand, unfortunately. Then he went downstairs and lay down on the couch to sleep. I almost died of fear and immediately texted my girlfriend. She calmed me down, said they have no keys for the doors. The only way to open is to unscrew the handle. She texted her dad herself that the door was locked and she'd come later to open it. He replied, "Okay." But that didn't calm me much because he doesn't always listen to what his daughter says. Looks like he fell asleep again, and Mom still hasn't woken up. And I'm lying on her bed wide-eyed, texting her, asking my parents for advice. They'd been in similar situations and got caught. And I'm doing my best not to panic because I literally can't do anything. There's no way to run. I can't get out the window. There are blinds, a screen, and it's the second floor. Going downstairs is also not an option. Her dad's sleeping on the couch. The stairs creak. Plus, I have no idea when her mom will wake up. I have no choice. I just have to wait it out here for another 7 hours. Maybe try to nap a little, although that's unlikely. Anyone got advice? She's 19, I'm 20. Her parents don't even know she has a boyfriend. I can only imagine how they'll freak if they find out I'm here. We're both, Not only is she dating me, I'm also in their house without their knowledge. It's scary to think someone could be in your home and you have no idea. I feel like crap for doing this, but I love my girlfriend and I basically melt in her arms. Update. I should have gotten up with her, but I decided to lie in bed a bit and now I really need to take a dump. About 6 hours left till she's back. Rape my intestines and butt. Also, for some reason, everything in this house creaks, so I have to be super careful even just lying on the bed. Update, 9:54 a.m., about 5 hours left. I still need the bathroom, but not as badly. But a new problem popped up. When her dad left, I managed to grab a boiled egg from the kitchen, 2 small mandarins, and a piece of Hawaiian bread. I ate the egg, obviously. You can't go all day without eating. Almost finished 1 mandarin and took 2 bites of bread. Now I've got weird feelings in my stomach. I hope I don't puke, because it's really hard to be quiet when you're throwing up on the floor. I'm thinking of taking a nap, but I'm afraid I'll fart by accident or make some noise. My girlfriend stopped replying because she's in class. I ditched the idea of escaping long ago. Her dad isn't a threat. Well, at least right now. Mom, high threat as soon as she wakes up. I hope she goes to work, but it looks like that won't happen. She still hasn't woken up and she was supposed to leave at 10:30. Quick update, 9:55. Mom woke up and went downstairs. I think she'll cook breakfast or something. Dad's talking to her, no idea about what. I really hope they don't try to open the door again. Right now, it honestly feels like I'm going to both crap myself and puke at the same time. Positive update, 10:03. Good news. Looks like Mom left, and Dad seems to be snoring. I can finally relax a bit. Maybe I'll even get a couple hours of sleep. I'm gonna play FIFA Mobile, and then maybe catch a nap. Alright, since you asked, here's another update. 10:20 a.m., Mom definitely left. Dad's sleeping, not snoring, but I'm pretty sure he's out. Unfortunately, my girlfriend hasn't replied to my messages for like 2 hours. I finally won a FIFA match after my 20th attempt, and every time the AC kicks on, it makes a ridiculously loud noise and I jump out of my skin. As I said, hiding under the bed is impossible. The only place is the closet, but it's super cramped. I hope it doesn't come to that. Dad will probably sleep all day. He hangs with his friends in China all night, so his body's on a different time zone. Maybe I'll nap when my girlfriend gets back. She usually naps after school, update 11:40. Hey. Now my girlfriend knows about this post. She got on Reddit. So hi, enjoy my suffering in the comments. For now, Dad's asleep, Mom's at work, the AC still scares me. Answers to some of your questions. Yes, Dad works, but he leaves later, around 6 p.m. And to be clear, I'm not planning to run. That would be stupid. I honestly think her dad doesn't care and won't break down the door. And yeah, Florida has stand your ground, Rostree Castle doctrine, but her dad doesn't have guns, just knives. I think I run faster. I used to play soccer and did Muay Thai, so I know how to run and fight. As for the bathroom situation, still gotta go, but it's manageable. Yes, I've got a few mandarins and some bread left, and Spotify is blasting in my headphones. I also finished the FIFA campaign. Finally beat the second chapter after 3 days. See you in an hour. This isn't even an update, but I posted a link to my chat with my girlfriend and to her bedroom door. Had to re-upload because her face was visible. Here it is, update. Good news. I am literally pooping on the toilet right now. Dad left. I have never taken a crap this satisfying in my life. I'll post the next update when my girlfriend gets home. Update. Girlfriend's home. I took my dump as soon as Dad left. Yeah, I get that it's dumb to stay at their place longer, but since my girlfriend is back, I'm safe. For those asking why I didn't leave when I went for food, there was very little time to pull it off, and I didn't manage to grab my bag. There'll be one more update when I get home to the real safe zone. For now, we're gonna play FIFA and chill until it's time to bail. Final update. What's up, everyone? I'm already home. Lying in bed, far away from my girlfriend's parents. I've taken 2 dumps. Everything went smoothly. Thanks for asking. About my girlfriend's age. She started college in China, so now she's making up credits and will enter a real university soon. She doesn't have a degree yet, hence no boys. For those saying she's an adult and her parents don't control her, they do, as long as she lives with them and they support her. Also, she isn't white. She's Asian, Chinese. I'm half Italian, half Cuban. So I'm under the same rules until I move out, planning to by the end of next year. A lot of you asked why I didn't leave when her dad went to pick her up. First, I really needed to take a dump. Second, I won't see her for a while. And she recently got injured, and I was helping her with dressing so she wouldn't have to go to the hospital. My mom's a nurse and taught me everything since I was a kid. I wanted to be there in person. Yes, her parents own a restaurant. Correct. Final update. Almost a year has passed. She broke up with me a few months ago. I'm happy now. Kinda seeing someone new. Mentally and physically, I'm in a better place than when I was doing this dumb stuff. I'll never pull anything like this again, and I don't recommend it to anyone. If I were a dad and found out about this, I'd absolutely lose it. My sincere apologies, dad of my ex. Thanks a lot for watching. Drop a comment about how you messed up today. And don't forget to check out our other vids. Hugs. Bye.